It's World War II, and you're a Japanese pilot and you're waiting to receive an order on what to do. Except you, there are other pilots waiting for an order as well. All of a sudden the door opens and your commanding officer confronts you and he tells you guys we've received a letter that came from the Emperor. And you have to answer that. Are you willing to give your life for your country? These pilots had three options. You could say no, you could say okay, or you could say absolutely. In Japanese culture, saying no to a question like this is very embarrassing. Because if you say no, no one will respect you. No one would say okay either, because that was also very embarrassing for the pilot. So everybody would proudly say absolutely. When you said absolutely, you basically signed your life away. There was no going home and saying goodbye to your family. You have to go see what the order is and get ready for it. Before starting, they would go to train these pilots. After that lesson, these pilots would become a kamikaze, something like a suicide bomber. When they were ready for next to their planes, the commanding officers tells its soldiers to get ready, because the Emperor is coming to meet them. This was very effective for the kamikazes, because in Japan the Emperor was seen as a god. The Emperor would get off the horse and he would tell the kamikaze that this was my request and you're dying for your country. The Emperor's plan was very weird, because it's weird that you fill up an airplane with all types of explosives, send some of your best soldiers, and tell them to go kill themselves. Everything is ready and the airplanes are ready to go. But what do you think was told during the training? What did they tell them? In the end, they told them, don't be scared of anything. Don't think about your family at all, only think about Japan, because it's your country. And there's nothing more important for a human to give their lives for their country. And they say also told them, if you go there and your mission fails and all of a sudden you come back, it's better if you don't come back, because you will be seen as a scared soldier. Before the death flight, they would have to do something else as well. They had to write a letter to their families and write them whatever they wanted to tell them, but they would tell them that this letter will go to your family after your death. Whoever wrote their letter, they would give the letter to their commander and go towards their airplane. Just like the suicide bombers today that have explosives wrapped around them, the Japanese would fill up the fighter with explosives. They would fill it up in a way that the only space left was for the pilot. They would also fill up the tank of the airplane so the explosion is much bigger. When the kamikazes get to their plane, they see wow, all the airplanes are old and beat up. Because the worst airplanes were used to do a job like this. The airplanes back then would start up by spinning the impeller. Every kamikaze would look at their plane and get inside, then he would tell the mechanic to let her rip and start it. Some airplanes wouldn't even start up because it was the worst airplanes left. The pilots that would sit behind this airplane, first of all, he was gonna go commit suicide. Second of all, he had no confidence in the airplane that it's even gonna fly in the sky. And that is why the kamikazes themselves were under a lot of pressure and stress. Some of the airplanes that would not start, they would forcefully start them in a way that the engine was literally smoking, but the mechanics would tell them it's all good, just fly away. Then the pilot would fly off. Where did these guys have to go? They had to go onto the Pacific Ocean, then get to U.S. Navy ships and crash themselves into them. Even though the targets were close to Japan, but the planes were so bad that some of them literally crashed into the ocean before they got to the target. When they got to the group of Navy ships, they would see them from afar, then their heart would start to beat faster. At first, when the airplanes were approaching, the Navy ships, they didn't know that they're gonna go full-blown kamikaze into them, and they thought they're gonna come and drop bombs, and that's why the ships started shooting at them before they got closer. It was World War II, and the U.S. Navy was right next to Japan, and that is why they were ready for anything. When the kamikaze would get close, the U.S. airplanes would lift off, and they would try to go behind them to shoot them out. And the other side, the ship is non-stop firing at these kamikazes. Since the kamikazes could not return home and they're going to die, they would give it their all to hit their target. They would say that whenever they're above the ship, they would turn the airplane handle all the way down and fly into their target like a missile. Also, some of them would fly close to the ocean, so the anti-aircraft couldn't see them very well to shoot them out. This was the life of a kamikaze. It's cool to know that there were 2,800 kamikazes, so they lift 2,800 kamikazes towards U.S. ships. These guys successfully sank 34 U.S. ships, damaged 368 of them, and killed 4,900 American soldiers. The kamikazes were mostly used in the years 1944 to 1945, and after that the war obviously ended. Thank you for watching video. For more support, please subscribe channel and share videos with your friends.